Hi guys, welcome back to History Help for You. Today is going to be the start of Year 13 content. So this is going to be for A-Level History Option 2, J America Nation Divided. And this is the Confederate cause. So this is talking about the Confederacy and Civil War. So their military resources, they had 9 million people, including 3.5 million slaves. The slaves were relied on essentially to do the labour while the rest of the population were out fighting. Many Southerners, many Confederates had military experience, such as in the Mexican-American War. Additionally, this was a home field advantage for the Confederates because most of the fighting took place in their territory, which they knew about. But something that was ineffectively utilised was naval officers. So, on the right we have our political and military leaders. On top we have Jefferson Davis, who was the Confederate president. He had a military background. He served as a lieutenant for about 6 years, but he was unable to communicate with his cabinet, which meant that he had 4 secretaries of state and 6 secretaries of war. So not a very good people person, I guess. The guy beneath him is Robert E. Lee. He was essentially the Confederate military main guy. He was invincible throughout most of the war. He didn't lose a single battle. He was quite good. And yeah, he was essentially why they were winning within like the first 2-3 years. Economically, right, the Confederacy is a newly created country. They're not going to have the same advantages as the Union. So there were attempts to control the economy, such as the inflation, through attempts of Confederate socialism, but this was limited, and inflation continued as the government started printing off money. Bit of a rookie mistake there. There was a plan by the Union called the Anaconda Plan, which was essentially to create a naval blockade around the Confederacy, so like the Mississippi River and the ocean surrounding it, to prevent trade and squeeze the Confederates out. This essentially worked following Vicksburg, when the Union took control of the Mississippi River. So it's effective then, but obviously because there's a naval blockade, it means that the Confederates couldn't get any trade, which meant that they couldn't use their cotton, or they couldn't sell their cotton, which meant they lost quite a bit of money. So geographically, as already mentioned, Confederacy had a home field advantage. They knew what their land was like. They knew the terrain of it. Also, just looking at the size of it, Confederacy is absolutely massive, right? Obviously, the United States as a whole is gargantuan, but the size of the Confederacy, especially places like Texas, absolutely unfathomably large. Yeah, so as already stated, most of the fighting was on their territory, so they just had to defend, and they didn't really have to attack. Whereas sometimes they did attack, so into the north, like at Antietam. Essentially, the Confederates didn't have to win. They didn't have to go take Washington. They just needed the Union to just give up, essentially. They wanted to be like, yeah, I'm a bit sick of this war, I don't want to do it anymore, which meant that the Union would essentially have to recognise the Confederacy, and they could just go on with their lives, I guess. Foreign relations. A key sort of mistake that's cited by many, well, not mistake, but something that they couldn't really control, was the fact they couldn't get Britain and France in the war. So both Britain and France really liked the fact that the Confederacy had cotton, or selling cotton. Did not really like the means that they were getting it, but liked the fact that they had cotton. So if the Confederacy were able to get Britain on their side in particular, especially with Britain having naval supremacy at the time, or at least near naval supremacy, they would easily be able to destroy the naval blockade, which meant that more trade of cotton to Britain, and also arguably the Confederacy would have won with a large power like Britain on their side. However, following the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, when Lincoln made the war back slavery, Britain remained neutral, and instead he started selling arms to both sides. So that is going to be it for this video. One thing I'm going to mention, sorry my voice is a bit dead. So, unfortunately, there might be changes to the thumbnail, because I did have a document open with all my thumbnails. However, I didn't actually save it, and I had an issue with my PC where I had to like reset a bunch of stuff, which meant that because I hadn't saved the actual like document I was working on, I'd saved like copies of that, which also went missing. I'm gonna have to try and recreate the thumbnail, but yeah, I should get that sorted. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.